Maybe yes. Hopefully. Yes. Okay, cool. So I know that we didn't mention, we've put it on the blog, but we didn't do a mention of what we're going to talk about today. So today we're going to be talking about how to get your Instagram feed in kind of like a cohesive theme. That's something that a lot of people always ask, is how to get your feed in one cohesive color without making any other photos kind of out of place. So we have a few tricks to make sure that you guys have a feed that looks really good, really cohesive, and kind of just sticks to your brand. I think the first thing that you want to do is just establish what your brand is. And I think we've mentioned this a few times before, that is very important for you as a brand, not just as like an actual company, but as the Instagram personality, to establish what your brand is. I think creating a brand guide and even kind of like a mood board of what you want your brand to look like, of what inspires you, what inspires your brand, is really, really important when getting started. So that way you know which direction you're heading. That way, you know, whenever you're going out and taking pictures, you know what you want, you know, what is the kind of like the standard, the golden standard of the photos that you'll be taking, what's the lighting that you're going to be shooting, what colors are you implementing, what kind of colors are you going to be wearing. I think it's just really important to establish that color scheme and just have that started from the get-go. That's the most important thing. And from there, you prepare yourself for success. So we actually, on the Planoly tool, on the Planoly app, we have a tool for the Placeholder tool. So whenever you're creating content and you don't have the picture for it, or you already know what you're going to post, like say a few weeks from now, but you don't have the photo yet, you can create a placeholder. So we do have color blocks that basically just, you know, you can set the color that you want. And we do this for our own Instagram. If you look at the Planoly Instagram, if you go back, you'll see that we have different colors on our feed. So it hits certain gradients. And the way that we plan it out is basically we've set the colors for what we're going to be posting at a certain time of the month, and then just look for photos or create photos that fit that color scheme. So we'll have like yellow themed photos, or we'll have green themed photos, or pink themed photos. You know, they're different colors, but when you look at our feed, it's still very cohesive, and it hits what our brand looks like, and it doesn't go off, you know, off the message and off of our brand. So that's one thing that you definitely want to keep in mind. So by using the Planoly placeholder tool, you can set the colors that you're going to be using. So that way, you know, okay, I'll be posting a red color or a pink photo this week, and then a red one the next week, and then maybe a white. But you also have to make sure that those colors are cohesive, because you wouldn't put like a red and green right next to each other. Like, you have to make sure that it fits that same color scheme, and it doesn't go like all over the place. And if it is like that you're having a lot of colors within your scheme, then that's your brand. But you have to make sure that it looks cohesive and doesn't look like colors all over the place that don't really fit your brand. So using that is really, really helpful. If you guys do use it, let us know. We hope that it's been really helpful. Miss Digital Diva, mood board, color palette, and setting yourself up for success, 100%. And if you guys don't know what a mood board is kind of just like essentially creating a Pinterest board for what your brand is and what inspires you. There's, for myself, I've created a mood board for my like home decor inspiration, and it's very cohesive in the sense that I like a lot of whites with like mid-century modern colors, and you know, it still looks cohesive. So doing that for every visual aspect of your life is really important when you want to make sure that you're sticking like to the brand. So regarding your emails, I think we'll be sending one out this week. So if you don't receive it, let us know. Feel free to DM us, and we'll check into your email. Actually, send us your email on our DMs, and then we'll check if you're still subscribed. But also check your spam. Sometimes the emails go to spam, so make sure to check your spam email. Leroy, I love Planoly. Keeps me on track and can be constantly working towards a better and more consistent feed. Yay, we're glad that we've been helpful. That's essentially what we want to help everybody with. It's all a matter of just making sure that your Instagram feed looks the best it can be, because when you don't have tools like Planoly, then you're just posting up photos that you think are going to look like your feed, and it's so much better to just see how your feed is going to look before you even post it, and you can, okay, this photo isn't going to work, this photo is going to work, and then moving from there and making changes from there. VCK Ram, I definitely need to create a mood board for Parable. It would be super helpful for our team to understand who we are so our followers get it. Thanks for the pointer. And no, that's like definitely what we want to make sure that everybody is on board with, because once you know what your brand is, everybody else will be very, very clear about that. You have to be clear about it before anybody else is, because at the end of the day, you have to think about, okay, once you get new followers, the first thing that they're going to look at is your feed as a whole. Maybe they'll look at one photo, but you have to remember that people will land on your page, and that's kind of like the first impression. And so you want to make sure that you've put out the best impression possible of your brand. Because there's times that you'll see a photo and it's like, okay, that photo looks great, but it looks so much better as a whole in a feed. So you want to make sure that you're always making sure that it looks really, really good. Presentation is key. Like, Instagram is a visual platform, and people do judge a book by its cover. So you want to, and it's like, it sucks, but it is how it is on Instagram, and you want to make sure that it looks good. So another thing that's really helpful when creating a cohesive feed is using the same filters for the photos that you're editing. Making sure that you're using the same type of filter, whether it's Lightroom, Visco, or Snapseed. My trick is I like taking my time on my photo edits. So whenever I take photos, be it on my phone, hey Taylor, whenever it's on my phone or my camera, I upload everything to my laptop and I edit. I do like a full batch edit on Lightroom, and I use the same filter. Of course, I'll add like some tweaks here and there, but I'll make sure that it looks pretty consistent and has like a cool and very white type of edit. Whereas if it was like super saturated, it would totally not look good with my feed. So you have to make sure that your edits on whatever platform you're using, be it like Lightroom, Visco, or Snapseed, are always consistent throughout the board. And if there's something that doesn't really fit your feed, then it's probably not the best thing to put it on your feed. You just have to keep track of that. And the same thing goes for keeping the same type of lighting for all your photos. If most of your photos are outdoors and use natural lighting, then you have to stick to natural lighting. If most of your photos are nighttime and you use flash, then keep at it. It's called consistency, so keep with that theme. If you like indoor lighting or bathroom lighting, then keep up with that lighting. It's just a matter of keeping the same type of lighting throughout all the photos. And if you're using like natural light or flash or any other type of lighting, and then you add like a photo that's really, really dark, it probably is not going to fit your feed. And the same goes for using the same color backgrounds for your photos. So if you're a person who includes a lot of flat lays into your feed, then making sure that the backgrounds of the flat lays are consistent. So this could be from using the same color foam boards to do product styling, or if you're using the floor and using the hardwood floor in your living room. If you're using marble countertops, and if you don't have a marble countertop, you can actually buy marble decal rolls from Amazon, so it looks like you have a marble countertop, and it looks really like minimalistic and really elegant on a lot of feeds. So if you want to do that type of look, you can do that. But it's just a matter of being consistent. If you are using a marble countertop, like mixing it in with a white background, or if it's like a grayscale background, just keeping the backgrounds consistent. And because you wouldn't use marble, white and black or gray, and then add in like red, it goes completely off the brand. So make sure you stay consistent. And another trick too is using a seamless roll. If you can buy a lot of seamless rolls from like a lot of photo stores or even Amazon. So you can buy a mini seamless roll, and if you're doing photo styling, you can use that so you have like the seamless look on the background. Or if you're doing like a photo shoot and you want to show your outfit, you can use a seamless and change up your backgrounds. So that's really helpful too. And with that said, it's really, really important that you don't add photos that don't fit the color theme. It'll stick out like a sore thumb, and it won't look good. And you'll probably, like, people who already follow you know your color scheme. Like, for example, Mariana Hewitt, she has a very, very clean aesthetic on her feed, but I'm pretty sure that if she were to throw in like a very hot red into her feed, it would, like, everybody would be like, oh, well, this doesn't fit your feed, it's kind of not on brand for you, and people take notice. So make sure that you're always consistent. And when it comes down to even, collaborating with other people or collaborating with other brands, that's where sometimes these brands that the brand that you created for yourself and the brand that other people have created for themselves sometimes butt heads a little bit. So you have to find that middle ground and make sure that not only are you keeping your brand in mind and protecting, the aesthetic of your brand, but also, if you are collaborating, using some of the photos that are closest to your brand, and having other brands understand that this is your aesthetic, this is what your look is, that you're not going to go, off tangent from what you've already established to, create your brand. So make sure that you're very, very picky. It's a lot of people sometimes think that the more content that you put up on your feed, it's the more successful that you're going to be, but it's all about quality, not quantity. And if you're constantly putting up photos that don't really fit your feed just for quantity, it's not going to it's not going to work in your favor, because then you might get lower engagement. It's going to bring down your numbers, and the whole point of working this entire algorithm is making sure that your numbers are constantly good, because if not, then for what? You always want to make sure that your numbers are really, really good. And also another pointer is using props. You want to make sure that the props that you use within your photo styling are always on brand, and using props that you can use all the time. Props do get expensive from time to time, so make sure that you can be able, to use them. There's a good batch of props that you can use repetitively that don't, get worn out. So make sure that everything, down from colors to props to the clothes you wear, are all cohesive. I mean, you're the director of your brand. At the end of the day, we're all essentially creative directors of our own Instagrams. So make sure that, we stick to what we've established. And that's really, really important when creating a brand on Instagram. So re-sleeves. I feel like it's hard to stick with brand colors on posts when I use different color fabrics for different collections. How do you balance this on your feed? I think it's a matter of just, like, a lot of people have 3 colors or 4 colors that they stick to. But when you're bringing a lot of colors into the mix, it's good to, if you're having a lot of colors, it's also important to show that your photo styling is also cohesive. So if you have a lot of colors, like, are your photos consistent in the way that you're styling them? Cohesiveness doesn't just go down to colors. I think it goes down to styling, the type of photos that you're taking, the stories behind the photos. There's a lot of accounts that, you know, have a lot of colors, but, you know, they're cohesive in the sense of like the storytelling in the Instagram feed. If there is a lot of fabrics, I think, you know, like I mentioned, the styling, but also showing like, the one thing that you could also do is, you know, showing your final product, and then on the second photo, using multi is showing the fabrics that you're using. So that way, people can always expect that that your posts are always going to be including the styling of your photo, and then also the fabrics. There's different elements that come into cohesiveness within an Instagram feed. So if you do include a lot of colors, try to explore different ways that you can keep your Instagram uniform. So yeah, I hope that helps. Souza, love the app. Awesome, great. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, let us know. We're always available to answer. Reese, you have another question. Love Snapseed because I use the brush to avoid oversaturating and overexposing on the picture. Awesome. Do you have the same recommendation for a desktop app that does the same thing? Yes. My favorite app is Lightroom. It's on the Adobe suite, so it does brush out certain parts of a photo. So if you want to saturate certain parts of photos, it's perfect for that. It's my favorite. I used to use Photoshop all the time, but I realized Lightroom was probably 10 times better when editing photos. So I would definitely recommend Lightroom. It's my favorite. Awesome. Cool. So, yeah, with that said, if you guys have any, Taylor, how do you come up with unique ways to style photos? I feel like everyone is doing the same. It's funny because last night we had our panel with A Taste of Coco, and she mentioned that a lot of people are essentially styling their photos the same way. And one great way that she shoots photos is going outside of the box. You have to also make sure that you always go outside of the box, and even if it's not just a photo, doing like a stop motion photo. She started including a lot of stop motion photos, which is really, really cool. And, it's not just like a boomerang, or, it goes a little bit more into, how the photo is developed. So stop motion is really cool. There's another account, I forgot their name, but they do a lot of like product styling, but with stop motion. So they do kind of like the photo, or like the animation will develop with products coming in. So you could do stop motion, you could do like I mentioned earlier, doing a styled photo and then showing your fabrics or how it was done on another multi-photo. Another way you could do, I think a lot of people have been kind of going away from flat lay and including natural light on like the ground. There's this blogger, her name is Hey Claire, and she started doing, she would always do flat lays over white, but now she started doing kind of like to the angle with natural light, like sunlight coming down, so you see a lot of shadows. That's really cool. I think you have to like take inspiration from brands who are actually producing a lot of product styling, like maybe Sephora or who else? Like NARS, they do a lot of product styling too, and just like taking inspiration from those brands. And it goes back to creating a mood board and looking on Pinterest to see what inspires you to go away from just that flat lay aesthetic. I feel like it's definitely like a very 2017 or 2016 thing to do, but now we have to like figure out what are the other ways that we can product style and show our products in a different way or style them in a different way. So definitely want to try that. Another question. I would go through all accounts I am following and check which ones to follow and which ones to unfollow. Do you have a trick or tip on how to do this in an efficient way? I think, good question. I don't think there's like an efficient way to do this. I think this could be, feel free to DM us. I think this could be like a topic for another session. But we haven't really gone through some tips of this, but feel free to DM us and we'll go a little bit more in depth in it, and give you a few more of our tips. But yeah, well, with that said, this wraps up this week's, oh, and Taylor, do it in waves, not all at once. Definitely, I would say that too. But with that said, we'll wrap up this week's Instagram live session. And for next week, make sure to put it in your calendars that we'll be live at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on Thursday. So, and if you guys have any ideas for topics for next week, let us know. We're actually going to, oh, and if you missed it, we're actually going to have this live for the next 24 hours. So if you are just tuning in later, feel free to DM us any of your questions. And we're actually going to be rolling out the schedule, the content schedule, or the topic schedule for February. So stay tuned for that coming out. And then if you guys, like I mentioned, if you guys have any ideas on topics that you want us to hit for February, let us know. But yeah, with that said, we'll talk next week, and I'll see you guys. Thanks.